Grimwick and the boy sulked out of the library. Grimwick wasn't entirely sure where they were going, but he kept the boy just far enough with him that he didn't get teleported again. The halls of the school were all stone, and after a few hallways, the boy finally broke his silence. "I'm Norbert. I don't care," Grimwick huffed. They didn't talk again until they came to a large blue door. It had no handle, no hinge, no visible way to open it. After a brief moment, Norbert put his hand to the door, and it flashed with a blue light and the sound of the door unlocking. The boy pushed it open the rest of the way. Norbert walked through without bothering to close it. Grimwick watched as the door closed behind them. They were now in a hallway with several smaller blue doors, each with a number. Norbert stopped at 410, put his hand to the door, and said, "Cupcake." He looked down to Grimwick and offered a smile. "We can pick our own passwords, and mine's easier to remember." Grimwick sighed. "Shouldn't passwords be hard to remember?" Norbert wavered a little bit. "Yeah, but I kept locking myself out, so Professor Kringle let me have an easier one." This boy was truly an idiot. The door swung open to reveal a stone-walled dorm with a window that opened to the night sky. The moonlight was the only thing that was bringing in light into the room, and it revealed a room of disorganization. And there was a weird smell, too. The room smelt of molding cheese that was hidden under piles of sweaty robes. And as Grimwick looked around a little more, he saw that that's exactly what the room was. Books were also on top of each other, their pages folded and mangled. Norbert's bed was a mess of sheets untucked in every corner. Before he'd burnt it down, Grimwick's room was tidy, neat. Each book looked brand new. His robes hung ready to wear. His bed was tidy and ready for sleeping. This would not work for a living arrangement. Grimwick took a step into his room and his foot sank into something that was moist and squishy. He held back his need to barf. "What is this?" Grimwick grabbed whatever was on his foot, and it folded like a slug in his hand. Oh, if this was a slug, you can guarantee that there will be salt covering this entire room. Let me see. Norbert lit a candle, and in the light, the slug was revealed to be a yellow-filled pastry. "Oh, I was looking for that. Professor Crinkle makes the best lemon cream puffs. I sometimes take a few extra when they're in the cafeteria. She gets the flake just right." Grimwick looked at the lemon cream oozing out. Do you want it?" Norbert asked. "Excuse me?" "The pastry. It would be a shame if it were to go to waste." This boy was truly helpless. Hopefully the rest of the students weren't as dim-witted as Norbert. Grimwick crushed the pastry in his hand and threw it out the window. "Hey, why'd you do that? It was still good." "My foot was in it, and it was on the floor. No one is going to eat that. Now go to bed. Tomorrow we're going to clean up this mess. I will not sleep in a pigsty." Grimwick gently treaded over the clothing, books, and food that scattered the floor. Did not want to step on another pastry or something else that was lingering under there. He made his way to the least cluttered spot in the entire room, the desk. The books were all crushed over and leaned on top of each other, so Grimwick took great care and closed them best he could. Then he began to make a small shelter with them, stacking them in a way so that he could nestle his body inside, kind of like a cave. Meanwhile, Norbert crashed onto his bed. "Good night, Grimwick," he said. Grimwick replied back with nothing. He didn't want to talk anymore, just sleep. But that too wouldn't go right for Grimwick this night. For just as he was about to fall asleep, an eruption of sound came from the bedroom's corner. The boy snored like 1,000 thunderstorms were trapped in his nostrils, and his mouth was a strong enough hurricane to suck them back in. Grimwick tried to put his hands over his ears. That did not help. He paced in his shelter a few times to see if that tired him out, but he just grew more annoyed by the boy. He peered out the window that was missing all the curtains. The window opened to a nice, quiet courtyard. He looked back at his structure of books. The top book was the complete history of Yorn. Late-night reading always did put Grimwick to sleep. Might as well try to learn as much as he could about this world. Yorn was the name of this world, and its history was interesting. Hundreds of kingdoms over a long span of time, constantly warring with each other. There were 4 primary continents, hundreds of islands. They warred from everything that they could think of, using magic, weapons, assassination, sabotage. Oh, it was like a book dream come true for Grimwick. One nation went so bad that it tried to conquer the entire world. They nearly succeeded. They took all the kingdoms on their continent, but the rest of the world united and pushed their forces back. And as a united front, the entire continent was destroyed. The continent was now a nature preserve, and served as a reminder for any other kingdom that grew too ambitious. Now the schooling is done in neutral territories. Graduates of schools are free to travel to the many kingdoms. They are seen as servants to the world, and not to a kingdom in particular. At some point, Grimwick must have fallen asleep because sunlight was now pouring into the room, and the room was actually far worse than the night before revealed. The floor was littered with school supplies, clothing, food, utensils. Even the walls seemed to have food stains, and the pastry was stuck to the ceiling. This will be cleaned today. Grimwick looked at the history book one more time. A few generations have passed since the last Dark Lord tried to conquer this world, which means that this world was overdue for another attempt. And it could be Grimwick. But he wasn't going anywhere with this lump of a boy. So he found a cauldron and a large soup spoon. With great pleasure, Grimwick banged them over and over again just above the sleeping boy's head. The boy flipped off the bed and fell hard onto the cloth-covered floor. Let me sleep in. Up! I didn't sleep last night, so I'm not going to let you sleep in this morning. Norbert rubbed his eyes. Now we clean up this pigsty. Norbert contested at first, but began to follow Grimwick's instructions when he could see the floor of his room once again. As Norbert folded clothes, Grimwick found the food that was scattered around the room. Being that this boy kept no trash bin, Grimwick took the opportunity to practice his aim and threw the pastries out the window, trying to hit the statues in the courtyard. The more Grimwick cleaned, the more it became apparent that this boy liked sweets. Grimwick found cupcakes, cookies, and cakes in every single drawer. Dirty forks and spoons were tossed into the corners of the room. He even caught Norbert popping 2 cookies into his mouth during their cleaning. They cleaned the entire day, washed Norbert's smelly robes, got extra baskets for trash and for laundry. And on the top shelf, Grimwick made himself a small room. Before they knew it, the room felt more comfortable, and it was almost time to meet Vine for the first night of detention. They ran to the flyby kitchen, grabbed a quick bite to eat, and hustled over to Vine's office. Vine's office was a clear reflection of her. She had no personal effects anywhere, no photos or portraits on the walls. There was a bookcase, but was only filled with gray and black books. Her desk was barren minus 2 piles of paper. One pile was dripping in the red ink of grading, and the second had not been marked. Her black nails tapped her desk, and she wore her only expression, disappointment. "You're late," she said after a moment. "You said be here at 7, and now it's 7, Norbert said, confused. "I said detention begins at 7, Mr. Soot. You haven't even started yet. You understand, don't you, Mr. Soot?" Norbert let out a sigh. "Just let me know what we're supposed to do. I'll let you know what you're supposed to do, Mr. Soot. The cat is not in trouble for breaking the rules. Besides, I doubt this cat would help you out anyways." Grimwick smiled. He liked this one. Even if she did plan on killing him, he liked her style. "Fine. What do you want me to do?" She reached into her desk and produced a glowing blue mushroom. "Do you see this mushroom?" Norbert's eyes got wide. "It's pretty." Vine sighed. "Yes, it is pretty. It is also quite rare. They're called mooncap mushrooms. Luckily you can find them in the cliff sides of these very woods. I need you to gather them for me. Your detention sentence for tonight is to bring me 10. And if you don't get me 10 tonight, you must find me an additional 2 tomorrow." "Huh?" Norbert said, confused. Vine rubbed her forehead. "For example, you find 6 tonight. You still owe me 4. Therefore tomorrow you will owe me 6. That will repeat for as many nights as needed until you've got me the allotted amount. Do you understand?" Grimwick did the math. Assuming that there are 180 days left in the semester, she's effectively going to make them gather 370 mushrooms. This must be some sort of impossible task, for her smirk returned to her face, that same one she had before she blew Grimwick away. She was going to have them out there in these woods every night for the rest of the semester. But that didn't seem to register for Norbert. Vine leaned forward in her seat. "I'm aware that walking around the woods wouldn't be such a bad way to spend the semester in detention, especially for one who seems to enjoy spending time outside. But for this assignment, for every night that passes on this quote-unquote mushroom task, I'll be giving you a 0 for all of your assignments. So best be quick about it, yes?" Panic hit Norbert. He would fail for sure this way, especially since Vine was notorious for giving out daily assignments. "How is that fair?" he whined, but Vine pointed to her wrist. Norbert gave up. Time was running out, and Vine wasn't going to change her mind. "Gotcha. 10 mushrooms. Consider it done." Norbert offered a smile. Just as the two had turned to leave the room, Vine offered another suggestion. "Oh, and a few things you should know about these mushrooms. They are incredibly hard to find, and they only appear at night. And the woodland pigs just love them. It's like dessert for them. They might put up a fight, being that your magic is so weak you might need this." She pulled a black hilt from her robe, studied it for a moment, and then flipped it out to reveal a blade hidden in the hilt. She carefully placed the dagger on her desk. "Oh, I couldn't use that," Norbert stuttered. "I'll take it," Grimwick said, hopping up onto the table. And just as he reached for the blade, he flew off the desk and hit the stone wall. "No animals on my furniture," Vine barked. "And Mr. Soot, I suggest you take it. You'll find that these pigs can be aggressive, and it would be best to have something to defend yourself with." I couldn't hurt. It is 7:15. Do you expect to find any mushrooms in my office? Now go. I have a lot of grading to do. This last one took me a while since it had so many errors in it. Every line was marked in big red streaks. It seemed to be dripping with red ink. And there was a big 0 painted just above Norbert's name. "I expect better of your next paper, Mr. Soot. Now take your cat, my knife, and get out of this office." Norbert gently collapsed the knife into the hilt and put it into his pocket. "Come on, Grimwick. Let's go." Grimwick and Norbert wandered around the woods, trying to find the glow of the stupid mushrooms. Or more accurately, Grimwick wasn't looking that hard. He was just treading carefully as not to step on any mud or animal droppings. Still, the more they wandered around the woods, the less optimistic they felt. The only thing they saw were these stupid pigs. "This is too hard. How am I supposed to find these things?" Norbert whined. "Well, the pigs seem to be able to find them. You aren't too far unrelated from them, are you? Maybe you can do what they do and sniff the ground," Grimwick offered. "Why are you so mean?" Norbert asked. "Same reason you're so weak. Sometimes that's just how we're made." "Yeah, but we can be different. We can change," Norbert said. "You're hopeless. Did you have a rough childhood, too? Were people mean to you?" Norbert asked. "Of course," Grimwick had it rough, "but that's how demons are. Can't get anywhere being weak and complaining. You fight back. Always fight." Grimwick had no family. He was raised by an endless cycle of bureaucrats and civil servants. They weren't even able to give him a last name, so Grimwick moved on without one. Meanwhile, everyone at Brimstone was able to call upon the lineage of their older houses, but Grimwick had none. The short and unnamed Grimwick, forever insignificant. But he was nothing like this weakling. "Ha!" Grimwick laughed, trying to sound tough. "Anyone who was mean to me got a fireball to their face. No one dare disrespect me. And when I get a stronger summoner, I'll deal out so many fireballs to this realm that you will fear me too. Unlike you, who just seems to take anything that whatever anyone hands to him." Norbert spoke. "It's okay. People are always mean to me too. They called me all sorts of names because of my clumsiness, my size, not good at anything. Even my family liked to tease me. What did even your parents make fun of you?" Norbert stopped walking. "Parents died when I was little. My grandma raised me." Grimwick was never the best when it came to sensitive matters. He only tended to see the world in the spectrum of power, even though he would never admit it. He never had much of it himself. But at least Grimwick was going to fight for it. If they weren't so different after all. Norbert might have a fighting spirit to him. For as mean as everyone was to him, he always seems quite positive. That was really starting to get to Grimwick. But now, he might have a little nerve he could exploit. Grimwick gave his best evil smile. "At least they didn't see what kind of disappointment you'd become." The boy said nothing and looked straight down to the floor. Grimwick continued to walk past with his nose up in the air until he finally stopped. Something heavy fell on him. Turned to find Norbert shaking. Grimwick mistook it at first for anger, but tears were flowing from Norbert's eyes, and the knife shook in his hand, and he began to roll up his sleeve. Grimwick saw a black seal on Norbert's forearm. It was of a burning ball of yarn. Was that Grimwick's seal? He did technically start his own legion. The librarian said she had named the legion for him. Did she also design the seal? Was this really gonna be his legion seal? A stupid cat's toy? Oh, he'd be the laughingstock for sure. It would take centuries of appeals to get that changed. Grimwick's anger shook a little bit. "My seal is a burning ball of yarn? You've ruined everything, you stupid boy. I was supposed to be the next big demon. A force to be reckoned with, and you trapped me in this body of a cat, and now my legion now adores symbolism of cats. When I get my new body, you are so dead. From the way I see it, you ruined everything in my life. I know I don't look like much, but I have dreams too. Wanted to be a veterinarian. Travel all the kingdoms and take care of sick and injured animals. I can only think of one way to get us both back on track." He moved the blade closer to the seal. "I stabbed this, right? And you go back to wherever you came from. I'll have a scar, but at least I won't have you." Grimwick thought about this quickly. Did the tables just turn? That boy was right. He would just have a bad scar and Grimwick would be sent back. Being that he didn't apply for a permit for this exploration, he'd go to jail, probably even barred from ever joining Legion again. He might be stuck with a mundane job, if not in prison. Did this boy really just figure this out, or was this off with emotion? Grimwick had to stop him. Hey. Let's not do that. Grimwick started. He took a step forward, but stopped as his heart seemed to be slowing. The knife was getting to the center of the seal. So now you want to be nice, Norbert said. I'm never nice. I don't lie, Grimwick offered. Norbert pricked the seal and Grimwick crumbled to the ground. The connection was too weak. Even the slightest threat weakened their bond. In some famous cases, even severing a branded limb would allow the demon enough energy to live for more years. But of course, Grimwick was tied to the weakest person in the entire realm. A simple dagger was strong enough to break this weak seal. Fine. What do you want? Grimwick offered. I want you to be nice to me. Waste of a wish, Grimwick spat. Nice is a relative term, I already told you I mean. And I'm bad at lying. So pick something else. Something that I can actually agree to, Norbert thought. And his voice shook. I want you to help me get through this semester. You help me organize my room. You aren't afraid of Professor Vine. Teach me to be like that. Help me to study. Maybe pick up a mushroom or two. Help me get one semester of mage school done. Grimwick thought. If he was willing to learn, could kick him up into shape. This would also allow him time to scout out a new host. Or at least escape if the boy wasn't going to pass the semester. And what do I get? Grimwick asked. From my understanding, seals can be broken or transferred by the owner or another powerful mage. They can't be stolen. In order to transfer a seal, the owner has to give up the seal willingly. By most rules, that was correct. So Grimwick listened closely. And if I pass this semester, I'll transfer my seal to whomever you work out a deal with. There are plenty of power-hungry jerks in this school, and everyone here is more powerful than me, so I'm sure they'll find a suitable replacement. The boy was right. That would work. Grimwick might have another chance here after all. All he had to do was help this boy study, learn some good habits, and survive this detention. But that is manageable. Grimwick's ears turned with a smile. You got yourself a deal. The two shook hands and continued to meander around the woods without a single sighting of another mushroom. No matter. Tomorrow night, they'd find 12.